happens when anarchy on reality TV goes too far. When the cameras record more than anybody could ever hope for, and the drama becomes deadly serious. This is precisely what happened when Jasmine unleashed a vicious, gory assault on Yandy Smith, leaving fans stunned and sending shockwaves through Atlanta's hip-hop and love communities. The battle, according to witnesses, was unlike anything the franchise had ever seen. Chaos, screams, and Yandy's battered departure while Jasmine was handcuffed and carried off. Here's the worst part, however. This isn't another breakdown on reality TV. This one descended into a full-fledged criminal investigation, drama in the courts, treachery, destroyed careers, and a battle for redemption that would permanently alter the lives of both women. This isn't gossip, so fasten your seatbelt. This is the unvarnished, unadulterated tale of anger, retaliation, and unintended consequences. Love and hip-hop Atlanta was about to have yet another exciting day of shooting. Arguments, tangled drama, and admissions. The kind of mayhem that keeps people staring at their displays. However, the distinction between entertainment and reality was blurred that evening. Something that wasn't part of the program, wasn't staged, and wasn't planned was caught on video. It would alter everything, and it was genuine. Jasmine had been treading carefully for months. The tension with Yandy Smith had been building steadily, like a raging storm. An environment of antagonism was established by shady confessionals, cryptic interviews, and social media photos. Insiders sensed it, even though viewers were used to rivalries on the program. This one was unique. This was intimate. At a private cast function, everything reached a climax. A glamorous nightclub celebration to mark the beginning of a new business endeavor. The producers had ensured that both ladies were invited since they knew that the conflict would generate a lot of viewers. They had no idea that they were about to capture one of the most startling scenes in the history of reality television. She was composed yet cautious when Yandy came. Jasmine was threatening to face her. She had been warned. Jasmine, however, was a keg of powder. According to witnesses, she arrived already in a rage, pacing the room, mumbling to herself and staring at Yandy from the other side of the VIP area. The flames grew larger with each passing minute. Unleashed talker reality TV #drama gone wrong. Strong, scathing, and very personal statements opened the confrontation. Jasmine said that Yandy had destroyed her life by disclosing personal information on video. Yandy retaliated by accusing Jasmine of being envious and obsessive. The insults came quickly, and the strained atmosphere in the room became poisonous. Sensing where this was going, security drew nearer. Then it took place. Abruptly, Jasmine rushed forward, pushing past security and swung full force at Yandy. Chaos ensued in the room. As the two ladies fell to the ground, people yelled, chairs flew, and drinks poured. Several witnesses claimed that before security could separate them, Jasmine grabbed Yandy by the hair, pulled her head back, and struck her repeatedly. It was a horrible sight. Yandy's voice was screamed, her earrings were torn off, and her makeup was covered in blood. It lasted less than 30 minutes. Seconds, but the harm was permanent. Every violent moment was caught on camera, and within hours, videos of the fight were posted online. The video was unvarnished, brutal, and unlike nothing that viewers had previously seen. Ulch controversy, fight captured on video. The consequences were immediate. Jasmine was immediately taken into custody after police were summoned to the location. As she was placed in handcuffs and led to a police vehicle, witnesses said she kept yelling obscenities. "You initiated this." As the hectic parking lot was lighted by flashing lights, she let out a scream. Shaken and injured, Yandy was brought to the hospital for assessment. Doctors reported scratches, bruises, and a moderate concussion, but they were not life-threatening. But what hurt more than the physical discomfort was the betrayal. "This isn't reality TV anymore," she allegedly informed the producers. "This is assault." The incident was reported online within hours. Numerous gossip websites featured headlines. After Yandy Smith was brutally attacked, Jasmine was arrested. Social media was inundated by angry fans, hypotheses, and disbelief. Some were incensed and demanded that Jasmine be permanently barred from the program. Others conjectured that the battle had been staged from start to finish. After police verified that she was jailed on charges of assault and violence, a hypothesis was promptly discarded. Breaking news. Free Jasmine in the background. The network was in disarray. Executives rushed to control the repercussions. Sponsors demanded answers over the phone. Producers who had relied on drama to increase ratings now had to answer if they had disregarded warning indications that this dispute was getting out of hand. Legal teams were called in to examine the tape. Yandy's side, however, did not waste any time in filing a lawsuit. She made it apparent that she wanted Jasmine to be held responsible by filing a police complaint and pressing charges. She said in a statement that there is a line that one should not cross. We may quarrel and criticize each other, but you never touch someone. The entertainment sector was rocked by the arrest. Drama is nothing new to reality TV stars, but physical violence seldom has real-world repercussions. It was different this time. Jasmine was more than a member of the cast. Now she was a defendant. Furthermore, the stakes were bigger than anybody had anticipated. One thing became evident as the night went on. This was hardly a quiet matter. The public outcry was too strong, the injuries too obvious, and the video too violent. Once an entertainment plot, it has now strayed into the field of criminal law. It was only the start. Because the internet was already calling for more as Yandy was tending to her wounds in a hospital room, and Jasmine languished in a frigid holding cell awaiting arraignment. Justice was what they want. They sought clarification. Above all, they were curious as to why. What secrets possibly have contributed to the anger underlying this feud's extreme outburst? Vicious assault. Fairness for charges of Yandy assault. There have been conflicts in the world before. They had seen tables being upturned, wigs being stolen, and beverages being flung. However, this was unique. This really happened. And the consequences were just getting started. And one terrifying question lingered in the air as both ladies readied themselves for the struggles that lay ahead in court and inside themselves. Was this the start of a scandal that would permanently alter hip-hop and love, or had reality TV finally gone too far? Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was more than simply a fad the day after the incident. The whole internet was overrun with it. The millions of people watched the frightening video frame by frame as the battle went viral on all social media platforms. On Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, hashtags such as Harm-Free Jasmine, on Justice for Yandy, and Modern Reality TV Gone Too Far were widely used. No one could turn away from their opinions. However, the true drama was taking place in a completely different setting behind the popular hashtags and fanciful fan ideas. A courtroom in Fulton County. Jasmine was carried in handcuffs to her arraignment hearing, still dressed from the previous evening. The previously self-assured reality star didn't resemble the fiery TV character that viewers were used to. She had unkempt hair. She was weeping so hard that her eyes swelled. Additionally, the look on her face was one of anxiety, of sorrow, of rage. Serious assault, violence, and disorderly behavior were the accusations. Additionally, if prosecutors want to pursue an enhancement for severe assault, which they suggested they may, Jasmine might spend up to 2 years in prison. In the meanwhile, Yandy took to social media to express gratitude to fans for their support, as he recovered both physically and emotionally. I refuse to let this become normal, she said in an Instagram post that received over 1 million likes in a short period of time. Typical. Her message resonated. Politicians, actors, and celebrities all voiced their disapproval of the violence. A number of women's advocacy organizations contacted us to provide assistance. It was no longer just a struggle. It was turning into a discussion about responsibility, security, and the negative aspects of reality TV. Jasmine's team attempted to change the story in the meantime. In a statement, her lawyer said that Jasmine had acted in self-defense and accused Yandy of agitating and upsetting her prior to the cameras rolling. In order to increase ratings, they further said that the production crew had purposefully created a hostile atmosphere, being aware that tensions had never been higher. This wasn't an impulsive reaction, her lawyer argued. My client was pushed over her breaking point in an entertainment-engineered scenario. Tag-free narcourt fight with Jasmine. As prosecutors started to deliver their case, the atmosphere in the courtroom became more intense. It was evident from the venue's surveillance film that Jasmine made the first physical contact. According to many witnesses, Yandy attempted to flee before to the incident. Most concerning of all, it was discovered via stolen text conversations that Jasmine had said to a friend earlier that day. I'm going to make her regret it if I see her tonight. Never mention my name. That one statement changed people's perceptions. Initially a discussion about provocation, it now seemed to be premeditation. The self-defense argument abruptly started to fall apart, and Jasmine's legal team had to quickly change their approach. Rushed to change their approach. The play itself was also caught in the crossfire at the same moment. Critics said several sponsors threatened to stop supporting the show until the network addressed the issue, claiming the producers were abusing real-life conflict for financial gain. The network said in a hurried statement that Jasmine was placed on indefinite leave while the situation was being handled. Additionally, they promised to introduce additional safety procedures for cast members in the future. It's too late, even if a lot of supporters thought the gesture was insufficient. Reality TV reform, network under fire. It wasn't only business or legal upheaval. It was so intimate. Jasmine's private life started to fall apart. While the matter continued to drag on, friends grew apart. Brand agreements fell through. Her talent agency even dropped her. Additionally, the tension started to show as bloggers scrutinized her every action and cameras set up camp outside her home. She seldom leaves the home, doesn't eat, and doesn't sleep. An informant informed the Shade Room Yandy wasn't unharmed. But this isn't the Jasmine that people know, either. Although she was the victim, she was harassed online by trolls who said she was exploiting the incident to gain influence and damaging Jasmine's life, while others said she was exaggerating the severity of the incident to improve her image. It served as a harsh reminder that even victims aren't always regarded with empathy in the court of public opinion. Nevertheless, Yandy refused to back down, saying in a live interview, "I'm not going to be silent just because it makes people uncomfortable." And when the prosecution revealed their next move, the tension reached a boiling point. To speak out, no more violence. It's worth it to speak up because it helps even one person leave a violent environment. Jasmine's potential sentence may quadruple if they were successful in pursuing additional charges, including suspected intent to cause physical injury. Based on new evidence, fans were shocked by the announcement. And although some pleaded for the court to be kind, others demanded the worst punishment possible. One thing became painfully obvious as the trial date drew near. This was no longer just a legal issue. Rather, it was a cultural moment and a reckoning. Trial of the year. Reality TV revealed how easily real lives might be ruined in the course of pursuing ratings, revealing the whole reality TV business like a mirror. And the more investigators probed, the more questions they found. Had the network disregarded warning signs? Had producers intentionally put Jasmine and Yandy in a dangerous situation? And perhaps most importantly, was this fight the product of two women's personal animosity or a system set up to push them? The answers would be revealed in court, and not only would they determine Jasmine's fate, but they would also permanently alter the course of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The mood around Love and Hip Hop Atlanta had totally changed by the time Jasmine's trial started. What had previously been a beautiful and untidy reality program had turned into a warning narrative. The courtroom was more than simply a judicial setting. It was a representation of how easily celebrity might collapse and how one reckless action could alter everything. The prosecution didn't waste any time in putting out their case, and everyone was watching intently, fans, networks, bloggers, and even other cast members, to see how the drama would play out. The jury began by seeing the uncut, raw, and devastating video as Jasmine pushed past security, ran across the room, and threw Yandy to the ground. They observed Yandy's blood on the floor, Jasmine's fists flailing, and Yandy's frantic efforts to protect herself. Only the gasps of those who had not watched the complete courtroom drama film broke the gloomy stillness in the courtroom. Justice for Endite did not stop there. They released witness testimony from cast members who stated that Jasmine had threatened to and displayed text messages demonstrating her animosity in the days before the incident. Humiliate Yandy in front of the camera. They even aired a recording of Jasmine saying to a friend, "I'll make sure she feels it if she crosses me again." All of the evidence pointed to image of intent, and with each detail, Jasmine's legal team retaliated, claiming that the creators of the program were also to blame, making her argument less credible. Jasmine's desire to shoot independently from Yandy was denied by the staff, who even encouraged their altercation for the most entertainment value, they alleged. This wasn't about Jasmine losing control. They said, adding that Yandy's pre-attack comments, which weren't caught on tape, were intended to elicit a response. Her attorney told the jury, "This was a human response to a circumstance designed to shatter her." Free Jasmine manipulation of producers. Some onlookers were moved by the dispute. This case was bringing an unpleasant focus on the worst aspects of reality TV, which had long been condemned for pushing cast members to their emotional limits. The judge even asked the network whether producers' one reality remained regardless of how much responsibility was put on the system. Jasmine had physically assaulted another person. Policies may need to be revisited. Person and the law was obvious. As the trial went on, the testimony became even more explosive. Castmates testified, with some supporting Yandy and characterizing her as traumatized and afraid, while others defended Jasmine and referred to her as a product of the atmosphere the show fostered. One executive even said, "We knew they hated each other," when producers were subpoenaed and had to acknowledge that they knew about the rivalry, but decided not to step in. "We believed it to be an excellent television show." The courtroom erupted with horror at that revelation. It was no longer only a scandal. It was a condemnation of the whole sector. Paddle on trial outside the courtroom, Shao's reform, Shao's reality TV. Fans set up placards and camped out. Yandy needs some readjustment. "Free Jasmine," said others. Atlanta's streets resembled a protest site. The trial was being covered by all of the main entertainment outlets around the clock, making it one of the most watched celebrity trials of the decade. The moment Yandy herself took the stand, however, was the most emotional. As she spoke about the terror she experienced that evening, her voice faltered. She replied, "I thought she was going to kill me," as tears poured down her cheeks. "I didn't realize it was anger, not just a fight." Whether I was going to leave that room, her testimony was terrible, strong, and passionate. It may have sealed the case and sent some jurors to tears. For the first time, Jasmine started sobbing as she watched from the defense table. She mouthed, "I'm sorry," according to subsequent sources, Yandy said as she left the witness stand. A moving testimony marked her courtroom tears. The last debates were heated. The prosecution said that Jasmine had to deal with the repercussions since she had gone beyond words to violence. The defense begged for leniency, claiming that Yandy's insults had enraged her and that the business had misled her. The jury was told by the court to concentrate on the facts rather than the drama, the headlines, or the ratings. The decision was rendered after 3 grueling days of discussion. Not convicted of the aggravated assault enhancement, but guilty of assault and battery counts. It shook the courtroom. Yells, sobbing, cheers. As the court pronounced her punishment, Jasmine bowed her head and let the tears fall. Required anger management, 300 hours of community service, 18 months of probation, and a $50,000 fine. Even if it was far less severe than the maximum punishment, it was nevertheless a catastrophic setback to her career. Justice was served for Yandy after the hash verdict. The win was bittersweet. She said outside the courts that she didn't want this. "I couldn't allow violence to go unpunished, but I also didn't want to see another black lady in handcuffs. I hope this teaches her a lesson." I'm hoping we both do. The narrative was far from ended, but the trial was over. Because Jasmine was getting ready to do her time in prison. And start again. The industry around her was beginning to fall apart. Cast members, networks, and sponsors were all compelled to confront the unsettling reality. Jasmine wasn't the only one with this issue. It was an issue with reality TV. There would be more Yandys, more Jasmines, and more evenings like this if they didn't change. The legal chapter may have ended with the decision, but it also paved the way for a far larger discussion that would change reality, hip-hop, and love. TV indefinitely. The court's decision might have put a stop to the legal dispute, but the tale wasn't over yet. If anything, it was the start of a brand new, even more complex chapter that would be characterized by personal accountability, public outrage, and an industry rushing to clean up the disaster it had contributed to. Even though Jasmine didn't end up in prison, the actual punishment she was about to get was far harsher. The devastation of what she had constructed. The first strike arrived 48 hours after the judgment. In a succinct, well-crafted statement, the network formally ended Jasmine's contract. "We don't support any kind of violence. Although we hope Jasmine continues to develop personally, she will no longer be featured on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta." Suddenly, her career, the one she had been constructing for years, was gone. Deals with brands came next. The endorsements were revoked. The general public quietly, appearances were abandoned. She has stopped answering calls from YouTube channels and podcasts that had previously pleaded with her to appear.